All right, so we're gonna play today with some Agni practices. So one of the things is, I'll let you guys know, I've been putting a little more emphasis on what are a set of kind of unique practices from the tradition called the bandhas, which really give us a lot of unique and powerful access to our energy, but also really, consistently, Penny, you feel free to chime in at any point, or anyone, is really, you see it really consistently in how helpful they are for the immune system and strengthening. And particularly, I'm kind of called to them because the Uddiyana Bandha is actually a technique where we actually change the pressure in our lungs, which has some really unique physiological benefits in terms of putting stresses or really forces that are into the lung tissue. And then the other big piece, which even if we weren't stuck at our homes, we would still be playing with this time of year, is the Agni, the energy of fire and growth and spring. Like the folks who joined me last night, we worked a little bit with. So that's where we're heading. We're gonna take a little extra time on some of the Agni practices, maybe break them down a little bit. The Agni is just, it's a big idea, just literally means fire, and it's the energy of change and assimilation. In the self, the home, the physical body, the home is at our physical center at the belly. And one nice way to think of this Agni, this energy of fire that is you, is it's like the synthesis between body and mind, and it's also what sustains body, right? So, and how we digest difficult challenges, it's a really good time to stoke it. So that's where we're heading. The other piece we're doing is, I think a lot of you guys will recognize, is one of the classic practices. You can find it on the 4 Desires CD from Rod Stryker Yoga Rupa, is the, just the last little bit of my spiel here and we'll get going, is meditation that very specifically draws upon the Agni and will fit well with the practice we're working today, but even a little more specifically what's called the Shakti energy. And that's kind of like, it's a tricky idea to define in the tradition. I'm gonna just go with soul power. It's the innate energy that came with you in the universe, in your spirit. So that's a little bit of an affirmation, just kind of let yourself sink into it a bit. That is the plan on props. I think we're pretty good. Anything you would normally use, we're gonna kind of clear the prana a little bit. We're gonna stoke the Agni, and then we're gonna relax into our true bliss. So buckle up, people. That's my point. Is I did a good shot. Where's Susanna? I guess I can't complain about any of the people who are missing, because you guys are all crazy to be inside today. I'm super honored. So you have to leave immediately after this class and enjoy your Agni in the universe. We're gonna just do a quick little, we're just going to do a quick little sequence before we sit for a bit. And this meditation will take a couple minutes. So, it looks like who's here is fine. But of course, if after we do this little sequence, you just want to lie down to do this first practice, because it will take about 15 minutes, is absolutely give yourself that permission. Let's take a moment. And if you haven't, give yourself a little bit of external rotation. Please use a blanket skillfully to allow you to tilt the pelvis a little bit more forward. So as I don't need to tell this group, but I am me. So we're sitting less on the tailbone and more on the sits bones. As you do that, squeeze your knees in, take your sits bones back and apart a bit. There might even be a little flesh to shift. My friend Karen Wiedemann used to say, shift your gift. I have to attribute that to her because of my limited gift. Squeeze in. Thank you for your support. Squeeze in between your knees, please, yogis. Interlace your fingers. Let's take a big breath together, appreciating this opportunity to be together as you stretch up. Let's keep the hands a little bit forward as if they were hitting some resistance, so you can take your armpits, go mindfully just up and back. Remember that squeeze between your knees and use that to roll your pubic bone down. Inhale, lift up your heart. Take advantage of that connection between your fingertips and fingers and pull your elbows broad. Enjoy the spaciousness around the base of your neck. You deserve it. Turn it into a little more of a classic back bend. Release the fingers, keep the arms extended, please. Drop your chin, let that drop sink right back down into your lower ribs. See if you can stop it before you sink into tail. And then just play here a little bit, please. Inhale and stretch up from back ribs to thumb tip. Maybe kind of just working it side to side. Feeling your space, choosing to create space. Here, let's just bring it together in kind of a seated samastitihi. Keep the hug between your knees. And on an exhale, twist over to your left. The more you twist to the left, notice how your right thigh kind of wants to start to drift away. Just at that point, draw your right thigh in. Exhale, drop your arms down. Use the hand behind you to make sure you're nice and long through the spine as you reach up through crown. Press your elbows away from each other. Turn your head back to the right a bit. Slide your skull back. Exhale from your heart, find that little more twist. Notice if you stabilize your base, squeeze in between your knees, there's a little more twist available. Look back to the right a little bit. Slide your head back. From your brainstem, twist your head to the left. This is that little quirky one. This next one is sort of that nice little fascia stretch. Just give yourself permission to be a little playful here. So stay in the twist. You're going to take the hand that you're using as the prop behind you, stretch up and over, and creating a big diagonal across the body. Some of us will find some nice kind of superficial stretch across the lumbar real immediately here, and some of us not so much. It just means your fascia is a little more open. And if that's the case, if you're not finding anything here, try pressing your elbow down towards the floor and then just kind of play with this top hand. If you don't find anything at all, just enjoy the space, breathe into it. Let's inhale up, release your knee. So we're back in the seated samastitihi. Exhale, you're going to twist over to the right. You're going to drop your hands down. You'll notice that tendency for the thigh to want to slide away. Invite the left thigh back in. Squeeze in a little bit. Let's turn the head back to the left. Slide your head back. Get that nice sense of connection between head and heart. Embody that a bit more by broadening out your elbows. Exhale, twist from your heart to the right. Notice how your nose is going to want to lead the way, and pause when your heart stops moving. Turn your head back. Reconnect head and heart. Slide back like you're sipping something yummy from your brainstem. Find a little more twist. Breathe into your length. And then we're going to take the hand back behind you and stretch up and across.
Hey, Joe, can you mute everybody?
I just did. Yeah, thank you, Anne. So we're in the twist, you guys, and then remember the hand behind you is just stretching up and over. And then we're just going to give ourselves a moment to play here. Stretch through your fingernails. Press down into your finger pads to create kind of this bigger bowing action. That lower elbow could be an interesting in. Pull it down towards the floor. Inhale, stretch up. Going to come back to the samastitihi, or seated version. I'm sure it has its name. You're going to curl your thumb into your palms. Make little baby fists. Also choose the mudra of your choice. This is Adi Mudra. It's really nice and grounding. Rotate your palms down to your thighs. Relax your jaw and your tongue and your striving. Allow there to be a little bit of space between your teeth. Your lips are touching but not pressing. Observe the spaciousness of your inner ears, the hollow at the base of your throat, and feel the connection of your next inhale and low belly. From the tips of your nostrils, like a nurturing nectar that's just filling you, feel pelvic floor expanding and filling comfortably and quietly up into the power of belly. And then exhale is as light and as bright as this windy day that is just reaching you up to the freedom of heart. Feel the sense of gravity as inhale comes in as a liquid that's fortifying and filling pelvis and pelvic floor, bringing presence and strength all the way up into belly. Enjoy the exhale as the freedom of heart rising up. Stay with the flow. It's a very gentle direction and breath. But give yourself permission to try less. And notice with each inhale that's feeding this sense of strength and steadiness into pelvic floor, that there's just a comfortable sense of gravity in your thigh bones and in your sits bones. This very tangible quality of being supported in this moment. The support of the earth, the support of the breath, the support of our group, and the fundamental support and fire that was the desire that brought you to this seat. Feel just a fundamental little tickle right as inhale begins outside the nostrils. Let's change our orientation a little bit and now just begin to follow this line of breath from the sweet little tickle at the base of the nostrils through the ceiling of the nostrils. And as the inhale flows up through the nostrils, these lines of breath are collecting the joyful energy at the corners of your eyes and eyebrows. They're moving up and up towards the eyebrow center. On the next inhale, these lines of breath meet at ajna, at the eyebrow center, depositing a sense of energy and brightness. Exhale is an opening as if your mind were just saying, ah. Feel your mind relax as you exhale. Inhale are lines of breath meeting at the eyebrow center, depositing a brightness. The brightness remains as there's the sense of letting go and relaxing on exhale. Enjoy these connections as you begin to feel these lines of breath becoming lines of light. So now with each inhale, there's a triangle being formed by these lines as they meet at the eyebrow center at the brain, depositing this brightness that's becoming more and more tangible. With each inhale, feel a sense of light in the forebrain. Mind wanders, just come back to the technique, allowing it to illuminate mind. Feel the light growing. At this point, the light just stands on its own. And that part of you that is hearing my voice is simply absorbed in it. This light of freedom, this light that cuts the bonds of suffering and misidentification. And as you're absorbed into this light, it evolves or transforms into a golden flame. A flame of willpower and spirit, of change and insight. Feel it burning away confusion, worries about the future, entanglements from the past. Feel the purifying truth of this flame. your own concentrated power, receive it, even as the flame now begins to descend down into brainstem. Feel it. Into cervical spine. Feel it clearing your throat, fortifying your truth. The flame continues to descend at its own pace, and as it reaches your heart, there's a sense of brightness and freedom. The flame imbuing heart with the powers of fire and receiving the powers of heart. Continuing to descend, the flame will settle in at its own pace at Manipur Chakra, at the navel center at your spine. This is the natural home of this energy, Manipur Chakra, your physical center. And simply as this concentrated power of you lands at its home base, it becomes more powerful, more robust. Feel it as a blaze that is now just filling your belly. Feel yourself connecting to the energy that has been behind all those moments when you are truly able to excel. When you experience yourself with pure clarity, simply as a force of nature. Just going to work with this power a little bit more now that we've connected to it. Recognizing this is a key, perhaps most tangible, for us to manifest in the world. Staying present to the power of this fire. We'll work with the affirmation. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. Repeat the words internally. Take them in. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. And now just pause. Feel the truth of yourself. Feel the breath. Regardless of our circumstances, we recognize the gift, the opportunity. And today, as we're remembering this circumstance, we see the opportunity to come together and to celebrate this power, celebrate all of these connections, and how we continue to grow together. Let's just bring ourselves into Anjali Mudra and just turn it inside. Anytime we're playing with fire, a little more humility, particularly good quality. Release the hands, soft eyes, lift your chin. All right, well, a little more expanded practice there. I love that one. Hope that worked. Let's come around and we're just gonna run right around into some chakra vikrasana stuff as we start working and stoking the Agni a bit. I'm going to get much better on the tech, but I got a little distracted at the end of that meditation. I accidentally pressed something on my new fancy iPod or whatever the hell this thing in my ear is called. So anyway, let me know, Anne, when things aren't working. I'm just going to trust. Lots to get used to. From here, yogis, I just wanted to play a little bit. And we'll do some of that prana stirring stuff we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. But this is one a lot of us have been kind of trying to work into the chakra vikrasana a little bit more. But before we get there, let's just kind of give this action a little bit more of its due, and this will give us a chance to stretch out our bellies a bit too. So just in table, go a little bit longer. Just take your hands a little more forward. And then what you can do is, if practical, even lift up the heels of your hands, pull back. So I'm doing the action as if I was trying to pull myself forward, and then let the heels of your hands go, and you'll have, of course, even more traction. So I'm trying to pull myself forward, and then embody that a little more by looking up, pulling myself forward. And now I'm going to keep that pulling forward of my heart and pulling back into the heels of my hands as I start to drop back towards a polar bear pose. And there'll come a point where you can kind of drop your head and your elbows, your head and your armpits. But when that wants to happen, instead, keep your armpits and your head lifted up and just drop your elbows. You're still pulling back with the heels of your hands. So I'm hoping I'm talking you into a real specific kind of thoracic spine stretch. And then from there, you might want to sink down more. Some of us might want to fall, take the butt back further. But the polar bear pose seems to work pretty good for this. Inhale, slide back up. Stop me, please, if it's not working. We're all muted, but to ask a question, you just have to unmute yourself. Is pull back into your heels, pull your sternum forward, let your butt fall back as you keep those two actions. When the armpits and head just want to drop down, lift them up and drop your elbows. Really pull the heels of your hands. And then let's let this one just fall back into a more classic child's pose, meaning that I'll just invite you to take your knees a little bit wider. And we're just going to pause here a little bit with real grounded femurs and ask you to take a big breath down into pelvis. Anytime we're playing with a fire, we really want to keep a good sense of a nice grounded place for it to burn and the spaciousness. The trick with the fire is, as the Upanishads teaches, is willpower, the only true friend of self, the only true enemy of self. And fire is a perfect example of that. Where we're heading, yogis, is just good old chakra vikrasana. We're going to add some Uddiyana Bandha here in a moment. Exhale, scoop your tail. Fall back, find a little bit of that same action, pull back into your heels, drop your elbows down. As you fall back into a child's pose or in that general direction, how hollow can your belly be? Just empty yourself out. The more empty you are, the more naturally the inhale will just fill you. Please continue. Exhale, we're just falling back. So we're just really finding the full range of motion of breath, the full range of motion of spine. Heart pulls forward a little bit. The top of inhale, fall back. And just start to notice that bigger kind of natural pull that you have to draw navel in. And a level of availability. Emptying out completely. Notice what mind is wanting to do here, and can you just be present to this pulse of life and your intersection and access to it in this most visceral and tangible way. The next time you slide up to all fours, we're going to pause. You're going to spread your fingers enthusiastically, draw some of that earth energy into body, ground down through the knuckles of your palms, melt your heart, curl your toes, press it on back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. First dog of the day, so let's give ourselves permission here to, as my friend Maria says, walk your dog a little bit, but resist that tendency to, to bounce around. And instead, bend the knee and keep one leg a little straighter. Press into that ball of the foot. So you're activating hamstrings to calf. Take a breath and send some love into those muscles. It's easy to get cranky at them, but they literally, every step you've ever taken, they've moved you forward through life. Let's do the same thing, second side. Press into the ball of the foot as if you're trying to push your whole body forward. That will engage everything. Try keeping that action and pressing your heels straight back instead of down. Let's just bring it together. If you feel even, bend the knees a bit, squeeze in more, and like you're lifting up, like you had a block between your inner thighs, squeeze it and lift your sits bones way up. Full stretch. It's either coming down to child's pose or table, or if you want to slide forward into plank pose for a moment, pull the ribs in a little extra, adduct, activate some inner thigh power as you reach back from tailbone to heel and through crown. Exhale, you're gonna lower your knees down to table. Folks who are maybe in child are just gonna slide up to table. From here, we're heading right back, just good old Chakra Vrksasana, just saying that same rhythm. Wait for your exhale, follow her lead. As you fall back, child's pose, really pulling navel in towards spine. Easy to shortchange yourself on exhale. So not strain, but give yourself a little extra space to really make sure you got to the very depth of out breath. Inhale pulls you back up. So we're just finding that same pulse and being right here. And then once you got that pulse, we're not going to change it so much, but instead of letting your butt fall right back towards your heels, next exhale, you're going to take your butt a little more towards the left. And so as the butt falls a little more back towards the left, it's going to naturally kind of want to circle around to the right to just come back to center. You're going to kind of just now work that circle into this bigger movement. So belly is still in charge, or breath is in the lead, belly's after that. And then we're adding this movement. And what you might be able to find, it might not be real evident if this is the first time you played with this little variation, but as you fall into that back corner, you're in this case over to that left-hand side, what I'm hoping you'll start to see is like in that, it's actually giving you a little more, because of the way you move body, a little more hollowness, a little more activation. And then kind of once you're in there, you might kind of feel how you can kind of follow your presence around the interior of your back body until you find that hollowness on the other side, and then inhale takes you forward. I don't know, I always think about this scene in Temple of Doom. Tribeswomen with the cannibals. Never mind, you guys focus on your true natures. Yeah, don't get lost in here. Like these belly stuff can get a little tricky. The kind of mind can get in the way if we're getting right. We're just like getting access. So just facilitating. Yep, and we're just gonna do maybe one or two more. And then we're just gonna reverse it a couple times. And then we're gonna flow a bit. Yeah, so maybe this next time you're up at center, you could kind of pause. And it can be a little chunky to reverse the rhythm. So you might want to just do an even one or two and then kind of let yourself fall over to the right. And kind of this idea of you're hollowing out the lower right-hand side of belly and really pelvis. Yogis were interested in these practices and this idea of Agni for accessing all these layers of strength and power, but just in the most practical, just in terms of elimination system, like peristalsis. This is the action that moves things, almost everything, few exceptions, in our bodies around. Awesome, you guys. Well, maybe just even us up. I'll give us another breath here on this opposite circle or two. Then we'll just meet back up in table position, please. And we're gonna, oh, I apologize. Got a little bruise on my knee, keeps distracting me. Is from here, yogis, we are just heading into a little prana work. Another one we've been playing with for the last couple of weeks. From here, drop down into child's pose. And some of us know where we're going, and you can just flow right with me. If you're less sure, it might be easy just to watch this one. In fact, I'll do the full demo. The first little version is just going to be, like I said, the folks who know it, you can just flow into it. Take advantage, you're in your living room. But the first one is, so the first part is just simply inhaling up, your thumbs touch. You're going to exhale still with this access to belly. I'm taking the navel way back, exhaling back. I hope I said that right. Inhaling up. Yep. We're going to do that for a little bit. And then after we find a little bit of a rhythm there, we're just going to build on that, and you'll inhale and you'll exhale over to the left, squeeze it in just like we did between the inner thighs and that earlier twist. Inhale, it should be much slower than this. Exhale is turning you open. Inhale is bringing you back up. Exhale is bringing you down. So from here, yogis, inhale is click down into the tops of your feet. Bring yourself up on your knees. Ideally, thumbs touch at the top of inhale. Exhale is taking you back. So it's just these two movements initially. Inhale, thumbs touch. Exhale, pull navel in towards spine. Heart kind of swan dives forward. Just gonna ask a bit of low back, so modifications, you could skip the hands and keep hands on hips. Stay right in there. So the next time you inhale up, we'll add the twist. You exhale, twist open to the left, kind of like you're double hitchhiking. Squeeze in between the knees. Inhale just brings you back to the center point, thumbs together. Exhale takes you to the other side. Inhale brings you back up. And exhale is taking you all the way back down to the child's pose, hands behind your back. Press down into your feet, press down into earth to reach up into sky. Exhale, open to the left. Inhale brings you back up. Exhale's opening you to the right. Oh, there's an Ada. Sorry, I didn't find my other page. I just found my other page. New device. Oh my God, there's so many of us. Hey, everybody. Cool. All right, let's let this next one be the last one. So we're gonna end, and take your time. We're gonna end back up in child's pose. Relax your brain. Feel a little bit of internal energy and internal focus. Slide right back up to all fours, please, yogis. Look up a bit, melt your heart. Exhale is gonna take you right back, Adho Mukha. When we last met up in downward facing dog, we were skillfully bending our knees and squeezing in and working against the tendency for the low back to round out like a dog who got kicked in the bum. And instead, like a dog who was really happy to have a stretch in the morning, squeeze in, lift your sits bones way up, full stretch. Inhale's bringing you forward into plank. Pull your ribs in, activate your inner thighs. Pause for a little bit of strength. Exhale, groins hollowing, take you back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees more, lift your sits bones more. Squeeze in, and now mindfully, slowly, powerfully start to bring your legs straighter, but pause before the low back rounds out. Find that sweet dynamic tension, that healthy bit of fire where there's some good stress and access to hamstrings and low back together. Awesome, you guys. We're heading right back into plank. Smooth, bright breath, pull the ribs in. Is there a chance to get longer here? Remember, give yourself a break at any point. Knees can drop down. Child's pose is always available. The challenge with the fire is really keeping it at that healthy level. Exhale is taking us back into downward facing dog. This time you're going to take your right leg up and back, please, yogis. Pull your lower front ribs in to reach back to your heel. Feel your core engage. Think knee to chest as your knee lifts way up and you're stepping through for lunge. Flare the toes of your front foot. Pull back into your right heel. Draw your right hip back. Pull your left hip forward. Feel your ability through sheer willpower to pool strength to stabilize sacrum in the base of your spine. Sacrum will appreciate that. Power up your back thigh. Pull your heart forward. Get brighter. Next, exhale. Lower your back knee down. We're going to slide into a little Ardha Hanuman variation. Slide your hips back, but let's keep the fingers where they are. So you're going to lift up the ball of your foot, press your heel down, spread your toes, pull your heart forward, draw your right sits bone back. Willpower, true friend of self. Willpower, only true enemy of self. Where is that sweet spot where we're not crossing that line into where the fire is destructive? It's what Susie Hurley calls therapeutic irritation. Exhale, slide yourself forward, back to the knee down lunge, turning it back into lunge. Gonna twist open to the right now, so please press down more through the ball of your big toe front foot and also stabilize your front knee. Right hand comes to hip, you're gonna curl open. Hug your back heel in, create a scissoring action in the legs. If you're clear that the legs are nice and stable, then maybe you twist open a little more. Maybe top hand goes forward, palm goes back, turn your heart open. Other modifications here could be to drop your back knee down, or if there's less stability, just simply looking down. Let's all come down. Exhale, exhale right back to lunge. Step back to downward facing dog. Take a smooth, bright breath into your whole experience. Feel the gift of the fire, but let your sense organs quiet a bit. Oh, hey, Jeet. Nice, you guys. Left leg, impressive, sir. If you could wave in down dog, means you're right on the cusp of enlightenment. Little known sutra. Thank you, Margaret. Left leg is moving up and back. Yeah, nice, you guys. Exactly. Pull your ribs in, reach back, feel that deeper quality of connection, that same belly access. Draw upon that power to step all the way through to the lunge. Yep, and we're just gonna work our lunge a bit. Feel free to give yourself more wiggle room. Check out how you're connecting to Earth herself. Nice, let's see, I gotta do it, so I'm losing track of myself. Pull your left hip back. Square off the hips, right? Inevitably in the lunge, the foot that's forward is the hip that wants to come forward. Draw your left hip back, right hip forward, pooling strength at the base of the spine. Back thigh is wanting to sink down. Lift up the thigh without locking out your knee. Reach through your back heel. Take advantage of all this good grounding power, more space and extension. You deserve it. Slide your heart forward. Send your vision out. Awesome, guys. Little Ardha Hanuman, hamstring love. Lower your back knee down. Gonna slide your hips back, lift up the ball of your foot. Press the heel down enthusiastically so there's unmistakable tone in the hamstrings. Don't worry about it. I like lifting up the ball of the foot for that action. But once that's really clear and the stretches in the belly of the muscle, then from your tailbone, press into the ball of your foot. Reach back out through the bones without losing the muscle engagement. Pull your heart forward. Pull your heel back. Pull your sits bone back. Take a breath and feel what's happening now. Are we in that sweet spot like a firm, loving hug? Or are we a little clenchy? Exhale, slide forward, turning it back into lunge, heading towards straight ahead twist with a real stable base. Ball of your big toe, front foot grounds down, hug your knee in, left hand is coming to hip, turn yourself open. But even though you know you're probably going to twist considerably more, reestablish the power in the legs. Scissoring action like Carrie Gans, now on the schedule from Vermont. Let's just say squeeze into like there's a log running down the center of your mat. Maybe she still does. Squeeze in like there's a log running down the center of your mat and open yourself up. Maybe the arm reaches wide across the chest. Maybe the back knee drops down. Maybe you keep your gaze down. Where is the fire being honored today? Exhale, unwind. Step it on forward, Uttanasana. Check out, just standing forward bend. Check out, it's not perfect. Human feet really come in a wide variety of sizes and shapes, but second toes parallel is a good general line them ups. Reach your big toes towards one another, little toes out to the side. And please take a moment here and create the feeling as if you were gonna jump. If you just thought about hopping forward, instantly all four sides of your legs would just firm up a bit. There'd just be a little more earth energy. Enhance the earth energy into the midline. Squeeze in isometrically between your feet. Bend your knees more than you need to hook your corresponding big toes with your index and middle fingers. Juicy knees, juicy enough knees so your belly can be on your thighs. Let your head go. Start to pull on your toes, first to create like a shrugging action in the shoulders. Remember, your legs are pretty strong, like you're gonna hop with a little extra hug into the midline. And now pull the shoulders towards the floor. This will work better if you keep your head relaxed. And now pull your elbows broad away from each other. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue. Squeeze in more between your inner thighs. Just like we were working in that dog pose, in our dog pose, roll your inner thighs back to bring your legs straighter. Once again, we're in this dynamic tension, in this case with low back and hamstrings, and now even a little shoulders. So don't let willpower get in the way. Where's the sweet spot? A way better teacher than me is your breath. If there's struggle in the breath, there's struggle in the body. And on the strokes of breath, exhale is the one to tune into. As soon as inhale is becoming more dominant, fire is becoming more dominant, we're getting pulled into the momentum. Sit down into an imaginary chair as you release your toes, Utkatasana, fierce pose. What if the quality of fierceness was more about a steadiness and each exhale was anchoring you from tailbone to heels? Feel it now. Feel the earth supporting the fire in your belly and the freedom of your heart as you slowly bring yourself up. Ground your thighs back into the physical body. For most of us, that's going to feel a little exaggerated because most of our default is to have the pelvis forward. Give yourself permission. That's also the power of the fire to go into new places, unfamiliar places where growth happens. Thighs move back, unfamiliar places, I mean. Thighs move back a little more than feels right, especially if your loving yoga teachers have bugged you about that. And then ribs draw in, tail draws down, Samastiti, temple position. Exhale, let's just pause in prayer position. Maybe closed eyes, maybe just a really soft gaze. Feel this choice to connect at your heart. Feel that physically between your palms. And in a much subtler way, feel that same choice to connect between your shoulder blades. Feel that same choice to connect like a loving hug between your feet. Feel this choice to draw into the midline and just simply through that support, feel that the natural physiological response to that is extension, which is cool. But now we're gonna feel, because it's like a star, right? If it just were to draw into itself, it'd be one flow. Where a star gets interesting is from this compression, it shines back out. Keep these points of connection, this choice to give yourself this hug, and now imagine someone's touching you on your elbows. And at the same time, you're reaching out into that touch. Soft eyes or closed eyes, connect with your peripheral vision. Feel the expanding quality of breath up into your temples. Feel through this quality of connecting, you can grow longer through the bones. From your tailbone, press your heels deeper into the earth. Notice crown is getting longer. Kind of interesting connection, this idea. And it's expressed so many different places, right? Through the willpower, skillful use. We enhance freedom. We create space. Exhale, release your hands, turn your palms, Surya Namaskar. Curl up. Surya is the sun god, the expression of this external energy of growth, the external expression of this energy of growth. Curl yourself opens, Urdhva Hastasana, spin the fingers in a bit. Squeeze in more to protect the low back. Feel as you power up your legs, your heart can extend more, get longer. No locked out knees as you exhale forward, navel's drawing all the way in. Lost in your pod. Inhale, big time pranam, real liberal pranam. Slide your heart forward, lift your tail way up, find Tadasana spine. Exhale, navel moves in. Fingertips at the sides of your feet. Let's step back with right foot again. Kind of gonna head towards a little core activation work. If the modifications would be to bring the back knee down at any point as we work this for any of us. If it works to keep the leg up, just a slight bend in your back knee, just to feel, in fact, let's just bounce there or get there. Bring your hands up to your front knee and feel this connection of your ribs in the back knee, right? So some of us might actually be pressing it all the way down into the floor to feel this. Other of us, it's just gonna work it up here, a little more juice. And so once you got that core engagement, please take your arms off. You can go cactus arms, arm to the sides, flying dog. The toughest one is gonna be here, arms out. Really power up your back leg. This is a great place to work. If you're feeling strong and that tailbone connection is there, take it up into a warrior one. Tailbone now, pressing your foot down into the floor. Exhale is bringing you all the way back. Stepping it back, plank. Inhale, big bright breath. Pull the ribs in. Exhale through chaturanga. Knees come down at any point. Pause in chaturanga if you wish. Folks who are pausing in chaturanga, breathe around the kidneys and ribs before you come down. Everybody, let's meet up on belly. Well, I said Surya Namaskar, although we're changing it up here a little bit to take advantage that Manipura, our fire center, is on the floor. Press your left foot down, left leg down. Lift your right leg up. Hands, head is just resting in hands. Feel that you're, as you do this lift, work on taking slack out of your uplifted leg. And as if there wasn't enough going on, create a little scissoring action on top of it. Squeezing into the midline. Switch it up, lengthen through your right leg. Exhale, press your right leg down, lift your left leg up. Work on removing the slack, staying with the breath. Awesome, you guys. Get longer as you lengthen that leg down. We're gonna put those together, squeeze in classic Shavasana. Sometimes it's easier to have a little connection between your feet so you can get this hug into the midline a little more. Sometimes that will jam up the low back for a few of us, so you can just experiment. Either way, if you're doing your feet a little wider or they're touching, the action through the tail is gonna be key. Same idea, and remember that anybody who, the modification would be to do what we just did. That's a really good way to engage these muscles and an undisputed engagement and challenge. We're just asking a little bit more. Hug in, lift both legs up together. They're not gonna wanna go up as high and they're gonna wanna bend more readily. So don't worry about the altitude so much. You're lifting your legs up and working on them super straight. Excellent, you guys. Keep squeezing in and lengthen out of here. Lower down. Pause for a moment. Take a breath and feel belly, your fire center, expand into earth. Feel them supporting each other. With Manipur Chakra, I often connect it with the energy of home, all the safety and foundational stuff that comes with this concept of home. So it just occurs to me, you are most likely in your home. You can just take that breath and feel the sweetness of that. From here, yogis, I'm going to keep us here just a little bit because I'm kind of trying to squeeze in our back bend piece so we can honor the other, do the Shakti meditation at the end as well. So the next place we're going to go, yogis, is upper part of the body. pressing your feet down. Please interlace your fingers behind your back. So heading towards what would be Bhujangasana, Niralambaya, Cobra Pose, Serpent Pose without support, is thumbs are going on sacrum, please. So elbows will need to be a little bit bent. Use your thumbs to encourage a decompression and a lengthening at sacrum. Knees and feet are pressing down. Also use that action to shrug your shoulders more. Before you lift up your heart, lift up your shoulders and your elbows. Press your feet down. Use your thumbs to anchor your pelvis. Come on up, Cobra Pose. I know, much more challenging breath here. Squeeze your elbows together. Isometrically pull your hands apart. You're squeezing the elbows, you're pulling the hands apart. And the best you can discern, your head's an extension of the spine. So the tendency is to look up extra. So you might want to try looking a little bit more down at the floor. Good choices. Good, you guys. Exhale, lengthen out of here. Turn your head to a side. Breathe not only into Manipur Chakra, remember your flame, but also just take a moment here before we just do one more. Basically, we're going to put those two poses together. Please just breathe all around the circumference of your ribs. Space available now. We don't want to just stoke the fire. We want to receive the goods. All right, yogis. So we're going to I'm going to ask you to bring your arms down to your sides. Palms can be down, gives you a little bit of leverage. It doesn't make a huge difference. So remember, you can do any of those bits. In some ways, interestingly, this urban Navasana, the putting these two together is actually less stress because we're kind of getting this cantilever effect. Squeeze in, both legs are lifting up. Shalabhasana, locust. Shrug your shoulders, lift your shoulders and your head. Nice, you guys. Yeah, so the beautiful part about this, so challenging, but the beautiful part of this one is just so strengthening. So it's a high bar to set, but find the place where breath is still available and extension is still available. So be less concerned about the altitude. You take care of those first two pieces, and that will feed the deeper versions of the pose in a healthy way. Awesome, you guys. Lengthen in two directions as you come on out. So those are really kind of an interesting. I love that sequence and that all those three poses and other variations of them, not only for this grounding effect, but they're kind of just really unique in their stabilizing effects on back body. But that was, and also just by not clasping or turning them into deeper back bends, we're focusing more on the strength and the length. Anyway, from here, you guys, please just bend your knees for a quick moment. You're still on belly, and you're just gonna rock side to side. Let's just clear a little back a bit before we get to that other half of warrior. And then however you wanna go, I like, especially after something like that, to go ahead and keep the knees bent, place the hands underneath, shoulders a little lower, a little wider, and then pull the ribs in, press the knees down. So we're really moving deliberately from the core. And then from there, we'll just take it into dog pose. We're back in dog. Smooth, bright breath. Bruce, stick your butt out with reckless abandon. I know it's tricky with all of my little screens, but I feel like I have to try to do at least 2 physical adjustments each pose. Sorry, verbal, I guess. Awesome, you guys. Let's see if I'm keeping myself straight. I believe we need to take our left leg up and back. Am I right? From here, pull the ribs in, reach back. Exhale, step it all the way through. Just gonna work lunge here a little bit and square it off, this little heating part of pose. Our practice is just going on a little more. Square off the hips, same bigger key ideas, heel pulling back, right hip drawing forward. And then remember, we had some options here in terms of taking care of low back and finding that healthy place of the fire. So remember that dropping the knee really makes that deeper connection that I'm most attached to, is us feeling and working from, more available here. But even that, it's much harder work.
but a little bend in the back knee. You can still find that. Either version, hands are coming up to knee. This is a really good place to work it. It doesn't seem like it, you guys all know it, is like the flying lunge or the arms forward really do put considerably more challenge into core. We're just giving ourselves a breath there. But if you do take the detour to the warrior one-ish pose, scoop the tail first and really feel that you're anchoring in through the back leg to lift yourself up. And then from tailbone, fire up into back leg. Heart is lifting up. Exactly. Where did you guys train? You were all badass. Exhale all the way forward. Nicely done. All right, we're gonna step up your right foot to meet your left. Go a little humble for a moment. Relax your brain and your striving. And this was a Sherry Carroll request, so I'm just going to ask you to sit down into an imaginary chair, stretch your arms up. I know, Sherry, I just realized the power of having you muted right now. From here, press your press through your heels from your tailbone, ground your thighs back, palms come together. Exhale is bringing us back down to heart. We kind of took a little space before to play with this dance of complementary opposites, Hatha Yoga, the union of sun and moon. Feel the union of drawing into the midline, using your muscles to connect to your core, and then reaching back out through the bones. Smooth, quiet breath into your whole experience. Next, exhale. Just let things settle, release your hands. Gonna take a little look at this Agnisara practice, which I know a lot of us know. This is, so kind of in the same, I do it almost every single class. The theme that comes through the tradition quite a bit is this: if you're only gonna do one yoga practice to help you in the challenges of this life, Agnisara, this practice, and the Agni practices are the way you want to go. So a good place, and then digestive energy, elimination, health, it's so key. I will resist and keep us going here, but yeah, just a fascinating, huge scope of study. So we've been playing with and working a little bit this action of, which is really kind of two practices put together. It's the Agnisara, and what's called the Uddiyana Bandha. And that's where the Uddiyana Bandha is where we really pull the navel way in and up. And we're gonna just take a quick little extra minute today to, and integrate some of that energy we just stirred, to just kind of be a little more deliberate with this Agnisara piece, which is kind of straight ahead in terms of it, but there's a little bit of subtlety. And I'm realizing if we kind of give ourselves a little more permission for this first practice, kind of the full piece is more available. So, so the first piece, well, let me just give you a quick, do I have a good shot? A quick demo. In fact, actually this first piece, let's just all do this together, is, so that position is, well, I heard recently, like you might do in a twerking class, is your knees are bent, and your arms are just straight. So I've got this kind of interesting like stance where I can settle into my weight. And now, let's just do this together, yogis, is you're gonna just take a nice full inhale and let your belly, and as you inhale, kind of stick your butt out a little bit and let your belly get fuller, just like culture has told us not to our whole life. And now as exhale happens, I want you just to pull the tail under. But what you'll really notice is as you kind of just let this happen, is inhale is wanting to happen with the extension of the spine. And the exhale is happening with the rounding of the spine, or the flexion. So we're just in there, feeling this simple pulse. And then you're gonna, so we're going to these extremes, and then you're gonna just find the place
where you're not tucked under and your butt isn't sticking out. You're just in a nice neutral, just like we work in dog or Tadasana. And now you're just gonna exhale real strong. And what you'll probably feel is that the exhale is kind of a little more connected, sort of your most ability to pull the belly in is much more at the top of the belly. And then just let yourself inhale. And now on the next exhale, just add the slightest little bit of scooping your tail and just play with this as an idea of the exhale starting down lower, even in the pelvic floor. So in this first one I just asked you to do, that was your diaphragm doing it. But there's a more subtle action in here, which is exhaling. Feel the exhale being connected to a toning in your pelvic floor. And just add a little scoop there to find that. Inhale, just bring yourself back to a neutral. Give yourself a break if you need to come out of this position. We're almost done. And so same invite. Wait for after the inhale, you're exhaling, you're scooping under. You're feeling this deeper connection to pelvic floor and exhale. And then this time also, I'm kind of faking it because I'm talking, but at this time also, now after you do that scoop, find that you can also pull the navel in more. You can find, so we're gonna do, so instead of just this pull in, we're gonna create this action first at the pelvic floor, and then you're gonna pull the navel way in to hollow out belly. Inhale, you just roll back a little bit. Let's try it again, but with less movement. Exhale, pelvic floor empties you out, hollow belly. And then you might add, and this is moving into another practice, here there might be an availability for one more action, which is to create this deeper contraction of pulling navel in towards the spine and creating that internal pressure release. Let's give ourselves a little break here. Tricky one to teach, and probably even a little trickier to teach on the interwebs. So hopefully I'm not going too far in the other direction either. Anybody need to check in? Anybody lost, alone, or afraid? There's an Aaron Pendergrass. All right. So it's kind of a unique, it's kind of an interesting practice. Is the next place, we'll combine this, and we've kind of played with this. I mean, a lot of us who are here have worked this practice in some different ways. So really, what I'm doing today is just I've kind of realized some folks are stuck on this Agnisara piece. So I'm just hoping I can elucidate that a little bit, and it just will change the whole practice. So the next piece is the way that most of us have played with it before. And I'll just do a quick demo here. So it's going to be the same thing, and good day to just slow it down and work with this first piece if I set you on some interesting stuff. But basically the practice is going to look like this. So body is for the most part stable. I'm inhaling fully, going through those 2 parts or 3. You can kind of work your way up from pelvic floor. And then I'm going to do the strong contraction, just the best I can, wherever that is. I've been doing this a long time. So. And then from there, we're just going to inhale today, exhale. We're just going to inhale. Let's give it a try. So you're just going to drop back down. Pelvis is neutral. We're going to do the same practice. We're going to exhale really fully. And then we're going to go through the pelvic floor, create the initial exhale from pelvic floor, do that sort of more obvious superficial diaphragmatic contraction. Kind of just give yourself, there's a little aha moment. It's like a riding the bike moment. You get this deeper level of contraction. So you're just going to access that the best you can. And then instead of holding the breath out today, we're just going to inhale, and we're just going to play with that for a couple rounds. I'm sure it would not be distracting. I know we got a pretty good crowd today, but I'm sure it would not be distracting as people practiced if you wanted to chime in with a question. It's looking good. Yeah, nice, you guys.
Joe, it's Sherry.
Yes, please.
How do you keep your back from hurting?
So you're getting back pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the main piece with that is make sure your arms are straight, because it's kind of a unique, do I have a good, oh, I lost my screen now. The key piece is this kind of interesting setup is you'll notice that I'm kind of using my arms like table legs. So the idea is that I'm sitting in this seat and most of the pressure is just radiating through. The next after this, and this is where it can, so if that's not working, it could be, Sherry, that there's, you're maybe a little too rounded or you're a little too arched, is then my next answer, once you're kind of in a good neutral, there's two other ways you could give yourself support here. The other kind of more tangible reminder is adduction, is squeeze in between your feet, should support your low back. That gets tricky because you already got a lot going on. And it's a funny answer, but if you go in this position and you put your butt against the wall, it usually gives ourselves the support that you need. So play with that as well. Okay. All of this can be done in almost any position though. This position's a little ideal.
Okay, thanks.
Cool, yeah, good luck. Let's, unless anybody wants to look at it, give yourself a quick break. And now we'll just do the little more kind of classic working these two practices together with an exhale, with the breath held out. And that really allows us, and the only other piece here, which maybe I haven't been quite as clear on, I was trying to get us a little more into this deeper exhale piece, is that we actually want to distend the belly. So in this next one, we're going all the way contracted, and on inhale, you're going just nice and full, just feel, give your organs some space, they deserve it. Folks who might not be quite as familiar with this, I'm just gonna do a fake demo here. Drop down, we'll exhale, all the breath will be held out. We'll do the same practice. And basically you're just gonna pump the belly while you're holding the breath out. And this is important, don't let your fire get in the way because you're not breathing. And so whenever body wants air, don't try to push. But as soon as there's that sort of just call for it's time to breathe now, you're just gonna come out of the practice by standing up, soft eyes or closed eyes, and you're just gonna take a moment to breathe, let everything settle. And unless someone wants to chime in, I'm probably just gonna give us a few rounds to work with this. So one way to go is you take a little wider stance, take a little fuller breath with your arms up, exhale, drop down, empty out from that floor of pelvis. Now we're pulling navel way in and up. And now we're holding the breath out. I'm taking it. And we're pumping belly all the way in, all the way out, all the way in. You feel this dynamic pressure, feel your gaze internal. This is a really powerful practice. So even now is totally appropriate time to just inhale, come up, pause and feel. When it feels good. Let's just give ourselves half a minute here. So either finish up what you're doing or take a moment just to adjust or chime in with a question. All right, yogis, thank you for coming to the Agnisara bonus workshop. Step back to the top of your mat. I'm pushing time here a little bit, so I'm just gonna work us onto the floor kind of expediently. Ground the thighs back, root the tail, but let's flow a little more. Inhale, stretch it up, Urdhva, be as bright as this day, curl back. Feel that idea of drawing the muscles into the best part of you, and from that best part, shining back out through your bones, heels and crown, mostly your heart. Exhale is bringing you forward, navel's moving in towards the spine, knees are not locked out. Inhale, really long pranam, groins move back, crown reaches forward, heart is free. Exhale, come on back down. Let's walk back to dog, please. Find your index finger knuckles, press them down, stronger, squeeze into the midline. Feel how that gives you an opportunity to be even a pointier dog. Groins lift up, heels press straight back. You're gonna inhale forward into plank, pull your ribs in. Exhale is gonna take you back to extra pointy dog. Let's Sukhi Randrasana, moving around to your back and just doing the figure four stretch could be an in, but I do just want to give us a little bit of hip access before we shift. So a good one here from dog would be, let's do a relatively gentle pigeon version. Bring your right knee up close to your right wrist. Reminders here is the more your shin bone is forward, the more you're going to ask of knee and hip. So your sort of pressure valve is just in that shin bone. I like to describe pigeon pose as a lunge that's gone horribly wrong. Roll your inner thigh, back inner thigh rolls in. In that, the same actions are relevant, in fact, even more relevant, you could argue. Here, keep pulling your right hip back, left hip forward. We're gonna drop it down into pigeon prep just for a moment. Not that you're not free to stay here. Shrug your shoulders more, and now press both knees down. Feel that unmistakable core engagement you guys have been accessing all practice. Feel that same anchoring energy from tailbone to back leg we felt in the Vira 1 pose. Fingertips come to the floor. Stay humble. So the back bend is going to be the very last part of the pose. Look inside. Even use your hands to help keep your mid-back fuller. Tailbone anchors more. Curl yourself open. Elbows get broader. Palate slides back. Like a pigeon who just saw a popcorn stand turn over. Exhale, come all the way forward. There might be another step, or it might be a press right back to dog. Left knee is stepping up towards left wrist. Even though mine's got this destination, it just felt in the expression of that last pose. Please stay right here in your legs. Foundation, foundation. This hip is different, so don't force your shin bone into the same place. Feel what's happening now. It's a beautiful thing in the asana. You are the laboratory. Roll your back inner thigh, lift your inner thigh a little bit more, square the hips, drop down towards a pigeon prep for a moment, and let's use that to really pull your left hip back more, right hip forward. Not jargon, but an unmistakable tone and presence, really a gift you're giving yourself, stabilizing sacrum. From here, tailbone, or from knees rather, both knees are pressing down. You can connect your tailbone to your back knee, both knees pressing down as if they were creating an arc that was meeting several feet underneath you. Feel this core engagement. That's gonna be our cue to come on up. Press yourself into the back body. Keep the kidneys full for the very last minute as you change those polarities and lift your heart, palate slides back. Big bright breath. Exhale, come forward, lengthen your heart. And you're gonna press right back to table or to dog. You're gonna meet up in just one more dog at your pace. Smooth, bright breath, all the sense organs just quiet a bit. Exhale, come on down, and if like a classic form child pose, big toes touching and knees wide apart is available, then head there. Another nice little subtle variation there as we just pause for a moment would be to stack up your palms as a pillow for your head, and a slight little bit of pull on the flesh of the brow, interestingly, has a quieting effect on nervous system. Most importantly though, of course, this is a repose. So just comfort is more important than the subtle little yoga connections here, I would suggest. Pause your jaw and you're trying. Feel breath is available in the fullness of your belly, down into pelvic floor. Nice, yogis. And we are just going to pull ourselves up to table, and you can just maneuver yourself around to your back. We are going to, we're going to do one more little accessing belly and Agni sequence, a little gentle or Kriya avenue next. But then after that, we're going to go right to Shavasana. So if there's anything that you would like to have, just take this moment to prepare yourself, including if, if you use an easy way to kill the lights or cover your eyes. From here, yogis, we're just gonna meet up whenever you're set in constructive rest, just feet flat on the floor. There's some folks I'm less familiar with here, and then there's lots of folks I'm real familiar with. So this is another, on this avenue of practice, is another one a lot of us might know. So as always, just feel free to move on if I'm covering stuff you're already good. Although the piece here, I guess, as the reminder, is a little bit of extra space at the beginning of this, no matter how much you're familiar with it. Take a really full breath in the belly, please. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring your right knee up and just follow that exhale through and squeeze your knee. Tailbone scoops. Don't worry about lumbar curve. Give it up. Empty out your belly. And then I'm going to ask you to deliberately inflate the right side of your belly. At the same time, you're going to just take your knee away. So there's no, you're just going to really fill up the right side belly. And then you're going to use your thigh to encourage that complete emptiness. Same idea, deliberately inflate your right side belly, but let a little bit of that squeeze go, a little bit less of that squeeze go. So you got a little dynamic tension to breathe into now. And the squeeze gets even maybe more firm as you really find the depth of letting go. There's more. The squeeze is reduced less, the dynamic tension is increasing. You're now breathing right into the pressure of your thigh. Still working to stay in this full attenuation of breath, the depth of exhale, the depth of the fullness of inhale, even with the pressure. And so we're just getting deeper and deeper. At this point, please stretch your left leg straight, still in the same pulse. Quirky other things can happen here. So if your groin gets jammed up or you just need to shake out your leg, it's all good. You won't undo what you've been doing. You've been massaging your ascending colon and liver. As an out-of-work massage therapist, I can tell you those are really tricky things to massage. This is a little bit of a funny one for those of us more used to our more asana focused twist. This one has a little more of a belly focus. So what I'm actually asking you to do is just let your foot float and going to keep your knee up, almost probably where it was on one of these exhales. You're going to hold your knee with your left hand. You're going to take your right palm out to the side. I want to actually encourage you to turn your heart a little bit first, to turn your heart and head as much as is available, grounding down to the right, grounding down to your right palm will help with that. Take a really full breath in the belly. Feel the line of extension from crown to heel. Wait for the exhale, thighs staying high. As you exhale, take the leg across the body. I would suggest you pause before your right shoulder comes up. Sorry. And now we're also, and this is a good twist for a pulse, good pulse for a twist as well. But on exhale, I'm going to ask you to find this twist of heart and belly into thigh. And then on inhale, I'm going to ask you to find this twist and pressure into thigh. So here, once again, on both the receiving front and the physiological benefits of this abdominal massage you're giving yourself. Complete breath. Inhale's rolling you out of here. Right foot's dropping flat. Shake out anything you need shaking.
Even out your hips, left thigh. And so remember, it's just easy to jump ahead here a little bit because that's what mind likes to do. That's the nature of the mind. So once again, even though you know where we're heading, let this first one be a little softer. Exhale, empty out. Squeeze it all out. Consciously choose to direct the breath where it wants to go least, left side of belly. And this first couple, really let that expand. And then we'll find our rhythm. Give yourself permission to really empty out. Kind of a unique place to be. Belly is filling up, and each time you are letting the squeeze go a little bit less. So each time this pressure in left side abdomen. Now we're on, we're descending colon, transverse colon, stomach, duodenum, all sorts of hard working bits under here. But it's also one of the big benefits we get from twists is just simply giving ourselves access to this organ body, which is kind of like a water balloon. And if you think of a water balloon, the pressure isn't changing. So you can squeeze a water balloon into all sorts of shapes. It's a little bit how the organs take care of themselves. So we're still in this pressure. It's building at this point. Probably a good time to stretch the right leg straight, but we'll still do a few more pulses. And then remember, some of us, this will be a little bit different than some of our other belly twist variations. We're just gonna let the foot float so we can keep the thigh a little bit higher up in the belly. Let's see, where are we? Right hand is holding left knee. Once again, I find this, taking that little quirky moment to, especially in this one, to work the thoracic, the upper body to the left a little bit away from the way the knee is twisting is a nice setup. But definitely I would say most important technique piece here is right now is making sure you're long from crown to heel. Really nice full breath in the belly. Feel the power and fullness of belly. And then let it all go as you exhale. And then you kind of find the parameters where you're going to work. Twist the heart, ground your opposite shoulder down. Keep reaching through lower heel, and you are totally in charge, of course. And it's not super dynamic at this point, but internally, we're really just working belly into thigh. So exhale is kind of where the obvious action will be. But even on inhale, I'm going to ask you to breathe into the left side of body and encourage this rotation of trunk. And let's inhale out of here. Drop your left foot flat, bring your right foot flat. Other things might be needed, listen to body before me. But we do just want to, before we stretch out into a well-deserved Shavasana, to rest in the light of this fire we've stoked, is just something symmetrical. So Apadasana would be a good and obvious one, just drawing the knees in. If you have any low backs, like Sherry had mentioned in the Agnisara stuff, I'm having trouble finding some support for back. So I'm hoping my answers worked, of course, but still, and we had a lot of choices, opportunities to stress the back today, to challenge the back in ways that could have crossed that line of healthy fire. So a nice technique here is, for a little more clearing, is just to, in Apadasana in this form, is press both shins into your hands. As you do that, you'll just feel your low back engage. I should say this is a physical therapist trick, not a yoga trick. But I'm a tantric, so I take all tools. Ask a Jean about it. Drop your feet flat if you're ready. Stretch it out. Feel body open to earth. Feel heart open to sky. Feel the mind quiet. Feel the interesting experience of being present to your own vitality and simultaneously suspended in the experience of peace. Honor not only the willpower and the fire and the desire to grow that you've embodied in the last hour or so, but it was also that energy that brought you to this class, that got you to stand on your feet, to have the bravest day in your life. Honor the power of this fire. And part of the honoring is, even when we spend a whole class cultivating it, is just trusting. The fire burns without us needing to try at all and moves our breath. Feel body open to earth. Let this sacred fire do all the work. You just relax.
Feel yourself at home in your body, suspended in the experience of peace, recognizing you are the source of this peace. Recognize the gift of the next breath. Feel the intelligence of the breath just feeding all the layers of mind and heart. Remember the golden flame that burns at Manipur. Allow it to bring more awareness to your entire spine, from tailbone to brainstem. Take a breath into the central channel. Feel it as a vibrant light that just fills you. As the breath deepens, this light brightens, fills your trunk and your brain and your pelvis. And as the breath continues to deepen, it just extends itself out into the limbs, into your remarkable digits, your unbelievably sensitive fingertips and toes. Then you just take a breath and just experience the truth that you are whole and complete. Slide your thumbs across the fingertips and give your toes a wiggle. So I am pushing time here a little bit, as I do. And our plan was to kind of condense the classes. So if, well, I guess two pieces. You could just turn me off and stay in Shavasana. You could stay lying down if you wanted to do this meditation to increase Shakti that we started with. Or, of course, you could take a moment, draw your knees up, and maneuver yourself around for a good seat. We'll do a little slightly condensed version of it, but give it its due. So, yeah, take a moment to work yourself back to a good seat. If you're gonna do the meditation lying down, just kind of make a little mental shift. Choose not to sleep. And if you scheduled to be out of here by 6, thank you so much and enjoy this rest of this day and this win and all of these classes at the Willow Street. Thanks to Sabina, the Adi Mudra, the curling the thumbs in. That's the one I've really been liking. Pause once you get there and just take a breath into the space you occupy. And we're just looking for a seat that is both steady and comfortable. That allows our fire to have a grounded and spacious place from which to shine and to burn. To do its work of change and integration and digestion on all levels. This first technique is called Prana Dharna. Become aware of that little bit of movement of air right outside your nostrils. Follow those lines of breath up into the eyebrow center. Might just be available now. Try less, and as these lines of breath meet at the eyebrow center, there's this sense of brightness, of freedom, and energy is released. The exhale is like that moment a headache lets go, and it's like that, ah. The lines of breath quickly become lines of light, now forming a triangle, depositing this energy. The energy just builds, becoming a more and more tangible light in the forebrain. Tongue is relaxed, sits bones are heavy. Just being right here with this pulse of life, illuminating mind. Allow the brightness in mind to continue to grow, expand. That part of you that hears my voice is now absorbed into the light. As this happens, the light evolves or condenses into a golden flame. Feel it burning in the midbrain, fortifying capacity and intelligence, feeding the power of insight and buddhi. Once again, the flame begins to descend down through the brainstem. Feel it, enjoy it. Moving through and clearing the throat, empowering heart, opening and renewing the very central channel of you. This flame of willpower and spirit, this flame that has burned since you've taken your first breath, settles in at Manipura, at the navel center, at your spine. As it comes to its home base, it becomes more robust. Feel its golden light shining through and even beyond you. Feel the flame now filling your belly. This fire behind all those moments of power and focus. You're able to excel, step beyond your perceived limits, be fully in your voice, to stand in your truth. Feel it, recognizing it, connecting you to a most fundamental source. Stay with it. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. Continue to repeat the words. Take them in. Feel them not so much as an aspiration, but allow them to connect you to your fundamental truth. In me, there is a light that lights the whole world. It radiates truth, boundless will, action, and knowledge. And then just pause. Rest in this truth.